Good morning, all listeners. Welcome to Conversations with Dr. Anderson Reynolds at Roof Tropics Media on top of Mont Didon, overlooking the picturesque city of Castries. Today is the third episode of Conversations with Dr. Anderson Reynolds. In our first episode, we conversed with poet, novelist, dramatist MacDonald Dixon and his newly published history-making crime novel, A Scream in the Shadows. In our second episode, we conversed with Alexander Clark, business innovator, on the youth economy, its challenges and pitfalls. And this morning, we have a very special treat for you. We have none other in the house than movie maker, award-winning movie maker, Mathurine Emmanuel, who, with at least 4 movies under her belt, is single-handedly pioneering the movie industry in St. Lucia. If you have missed any of our past episodes, you are still in luck. You can go on our Jacko Productions website or our Jacko Television Facebook to view, listen to all the past episodes. So, Miss Emmanuel, welcome to Roof Tropics Media. Welcome to Conversations with Dr. Anderson Reynolds. It's indeed a great pleasure having you on the show.
Thank you, Dr. Reynolds. I'm quite happy to be here this morning with you.
So, Miss Emmanuel, you are the 6th of 12 children raised in the rural hamlet of Deriso. I suspect during the time when most such rural parts of St. Lucia didn't even have electricity. So then, how did such a child from such an era, from such a part of St. Lucia, get into acting, into drama? At what point in your life you realized you had an acting talent?
Because during that period of time, we didn't have television, and for the most part, we didn't have electricity. But it was always in me. I guess it was a gift, or it is a gift. I always wanted to see people happy. So as a child, from the age of 8, my sister and I, I'm just 1 year older than she is, Lena Frederick, we would go to our neighbors, especially those who were sick and the elderly, and we would entertain them. We would dance, take banana leaves, tie around our waist, and try to look very funny. I would turn my eyes like cock eyes and just do a whole lot of stuff to make them laugh. And that helped me to feel very, very happy. Then I took it a little further. I began to, perform, not just dance, but say things about the news of the day, what I used to hear about Van Gis and the farmers, and how the farmers were not satisfied with the amount of money they were getting for their bananas. So I would listen to them and then try to make, write short scripts in my own little way back then about their pains, and then we would dance and mention the things that they would say, and the people would laugh, Our audience, they would laugh, and that made me feel very happy. So I discovered back then that I had the potential to make people happy by the things I said, but the way I danced, the way I spoke to them. They would just laugh. Some of them would laugh until they cried. So I knew back then that there was something built in me. I was gifted in that way to entertain people.
Good. Yeah, so part of it was you wanted to make people happy,
yes,
to see people happy.
Yeah.
Now, most people don't associate movie making with St. Lucia, yet you are produced and acted in not 1, not 2, not 3, but 5 movies, including the one that will be released pretty soon, Shantaes World. So But it is one thing to be play acting, child acting, or to take part in community plays or school plays. But it's a great leap from that to producing movies. So how did you get into movie making?
Well, movie making came by accident, I will say, because I remember that I used to stage plays in my community back then. That was my effort to raise funds for persons who were sick and didn't have the means to, pay for health, their medicines and, to take care of themselves. So, especially the poor. And so I would take it upon myself to just, write a script quickly, call the young people in the community to come together to help me, stage a play and stuff like that. Now, for Nurses Week, that was, I think, in 1997, I think, or 99. I staged that play, The White Angel, and there were quite a few persons, nurses and other health, workers there. And when they saw the play, I think later during that month, I received a call from the Substance Abuse Secretariat to stage a production. And I don't know what came, what I was thinking at the time. Instead of writing and staging, putting up a stage production, I went about filming and a short story. And when they received it, it was aired. People started talking about it. The reviews were great. So my cameraman, the only cameraman I had at the time, Michael Joseph, told me, Sister Emmanuel, he's Adventist, like myself. He said, if you can do that, why not try another? And that's how Ribbons of Blue was born. Immediately, I started writing a script for Ribbons of Blue, just jotting down little scenes here and there. Not, a professional script, because I knew nothing about script writing at that time. Yeah. But I just put the format together, and then that's how Ribbons of Blue was born.
Wow. That reminds me of a couple of weeks ago, Russell Lake called me and tell me, would I like to do a show? And I did not know about his Roof Tropics Media. So I told him I've never thought of it. I don't think I'm all that good at my speaking ability is not all that great. And so he was surprised no one had come to me to ask me to do a show. So now I wasn't very hot by the idea, but I couldn't find any good reason to refuse him. So I said, well, I should not do something because I may not be fully comfortable or because it may pose a little challenge. So because I couldn't find any good reason to refuse him, I said, okay, let's give it a try. So again, like in your case, I'm helped almost by accident. You said earlier that maybe part of what kept you going in terms of doing the skit as children was to make people happy, make people laugh. And then you just mentioned that what got you started in the movie making was that play you staged, which was meant to help people.
Yeah.
So can I ask, what do you hope to accomplish with your movies? What's the driving motivation behind you making movies?
Well, it has always been. I was very young not to realize it at the time, but what drives me is my passion to move people. Now at my age, I keep saying to other producers that if a movie doesn't move you, then it's not a movie. It has to move you in one way or another, emotionally, psychologically, socially. It has to move you. So as a producer, I aspire to educate, inspire, and at the same time entertain. That's what I'm all about. If my movie does not inspire you, if I don't believe it will, I won't produce it. It's all about inspiring people to be better, to be a better self, a better person, educate young people, and entertain. Entertainment has to be part of it. You have to be moved, as I said, in one way or another.
Yes, I quite agree. And I can relate to that because especially in anything you do, especially in the line of art, to me, it must it must captivate people. So even in my writing, this is one of the goals. As I'm writing, I ask myself, is this captivating enough? Is it interesting enough? So I can relate to that, and I guess most artists can relate to that. Now, making movies, I think it's a pretty daunting task. I remember at one of my book launches, you suggested that why don't I turn my books into movies? Then I said to myself, well, writing a novel, I sit at my home and do my writing. It's just me and the computer. But movies, you have to deal with so many people, costume design, set design, casting. I see that as a very daunting task. Yet you have persevered. You have been surmounting great challenges to keep bringing us great movies. So then I must ask, what does it do for you personally that makes you keep going? I know you said make people laugh, inspire, and so on, but you personally, what does making movies, acting, drama do for you personally?
It's interesting, you know, to be able to become someone else, to internalize what someone else feels in any given situation, and whether it is sad or happy, angry, you know. So when I'm on stage or when I'm acting, during a movie shot, whatever we're shooting, a movie, whatever we're doing, and I am acting, to internalize that is very interesting, and it helps you understand people better. For me, it is fun because to get into character is really interesting when you are not in actuality going through that emotion. So it's interesting, but a means to an end if you realize that you're actually doing it to change your life, to enhance your life, then it becomes very inspirational for me. And that's why I enjoy doing it, because it's, you know, you're trying to be someone a character who will participate in a story that will change your life in one way or another.
True. Now, I've noticed that your whole family has that dramatic flair. And then I look at my family, and we are kind of almost sedate, quiet. So, what accounts for that? I think our sedateness in my family maybe comes from my father, because he was a pretty quiet, sedate fella. Maybe more of an introvert, probably. But what do you think accounts for your family's flair for drama?
Well, I don't know, because most of us are like that. I have my eldest brother, the second one. Every time I listen to him, I say the world really missed something, because he's a comedian. Whatever he says, you laugh. And the one who passed, Ray was very, very, you know, entertaining, very, you know, artistic, you know, in his own way.
Yeah. Very interesting. Now, another interesting thing I've noticed about your movie making is that, like you and your film company, Arnola Pictures, there is also Chez Campeche, another successful St. Lucian drama enterprise. And also, I think Invader the Calypsonian Invader is probably the most theatrical of St. Lucia's Calypso King. But all three of you all have something in common. You all have your roots are in the Adventist church. Invader, I think, was either raised a Seventh Adventist or he attended the Seventh-day Academy Secondary School. So what is it about Seventh Adventists you reckon that make it keep producing such great drama talent, acting talent? Anything special about the Adventist Church that contributes to that?
I do not think that's where my talent was born. I believe, based on the way I go about producing movies, that I am gifted. And at a very tender age, I started the process. But I think the art was developed when I became an Adventist, because I was able to work with young people and use them to, bring out those messages. So I think the skill was refined. And the Adventist Church nurtures young people in that way. You are always, if you're a very active church member, you're always facing people, always talking and always singing and, getting involved in church activities. So it creates that kind of base for that boldness. Psychologically, you are more prepared. Emotionally, and socially, since you're always out there with people, trying to interact with persons about God and other stuff, the health message and everything, you feel empowered, to do things like that. So
True.
I think.
True. Also, I know in my Adventist days, we used to stage Bible
Yeah.
stories, make plays out of Bible stories, and that used to be sometimes. This plays used to be very elaborate. Okay, I know that as an independent movie producer, you have to wear many hats. You have to be the director. You act in your plays. You probably you write the script. You probably you are also taking care of costume design, set design, and so on and so on. So you do a lot. You perform a lot of roles when you produce a movie. So what I would like to ask is, in terms of acting and directing, which do you like best? Which is more fun to do, and which you find most demanding?
I love both. I've been directing my movies for quite some time, and also acting, you know. So I find both of them very compelling, very interesting. But as an actor, you represent a character, one character, to convince your audience that the character is real, and that's your job. Your job is to convince your audience that this character is real. And if you do anything less, then it's not, you fail, all right? But then as a director, you wear several hats. And I think you really have to know the story. You have to know, you have to work with the characters. There are just so many things that you have to do. You have to be immersed into it to understand the nitty-gritty of it and ensure that everything works well. So as a director, the film budget, you have auditions, you oversee all aspects of the production process, sound, music, working with the editor, and so much that you have to do. But as you asked the question, which one is more difficult? I think editing is most challenging because an editor can either make you or break you. The editor can break you. And if you set out to produce a wonderful film, you might just end up with something far from what you wanted to produce. But if you have a good editor who works with you, who reads the script and understand your story and understand what you're trying, the message that you're trying to bring out there, and he works tete-a-tete with you, then you can achieve your goal. So I find editing to be very challenging. There's just so much even the editor has to deal with. Getting the right shots, the right color grading, and all of these things I didn't even know about before. And sound, music, It's a lot.
Yes, and the editing can really
Yeah.
enhance the movie
Oh, yes.
with sound, music, and
Yeah.
so forth. Now, the making of Shantaes World, your 5th movie. I must say, Miss Emmanuel, congratulations.
Thank you.
When is Shantaes World premiering or releasing?
Currently, we are not thinking of a release, but a premiere rather. There is a vast difference between the two. You premiere by, allowing certain persons, invited guests, to come and see what you have produced, and critic tell you what they think, how they feel about it, whether they don't think it's great or whether they see it as a great film and what you can do better. In fact, you have an opportunity, I believe, to go back, and work things out. It's like a marriage. If you you get the counseling, so you go back and you try to make things work. But in the release, everybody views the film, they watch it, and that's it. But so that's why the film has to go on a journey, and we want our fans to understand that. This time around, we have learned a lot from film production, filmmaking. So we are not going to premiere the film. We are just going to allow persons who have been on the journey with us, persons who have contributed financially, and those who work in the field of film production and who artists, rather, certain artists, sound editors, those who have contributed to the, the film, to come and see. So don't feel bad if you are not invited. It is simply because it's not your turn yet.
All right.
All right.
They are probably a little bit disappointed because
Yeah, I know. People wait.
they have been watching the trailers for several years now.
Yeah, I know.
But I think they understand you're going for perfection.
Yeah.
And I think we prefer to wait,
Yeah.
and so that what we get is the best.
Yeah.
So then, tell us more about Shantaes World. What is the movie about, and how did you come up with that concept?
Shantys World is a timepiece, a historical epic, a drama, rather. The word Shanty means inspirational, intelligent, bold, beautiful, black. So it was a deliberate title, a deliberate name, which represents the Caribbean people. We are bold, we are black, we are beautiful, we are inspirational, we are everything.
Sure.
So it's our world, it's the Caribbean world, the people's world who live in the diaspora, the Caribbean people's world. So Shantaes World is our world. And it's our world during post-colonial times after World War II, what life was like in rural St. Lucia. And I could not embrace the urban communities because I could only focus on where I live, my experience, our experience in rural St. Lucia, rural Caribbean. So that's what it is all about. And what inspired me, you ask? What really inspired me is my relatives who traveled to the UK, who went overseas during that period of time, during the 1960s, to better their lives and their family's life. And when they returned home during the Christmas season or during Christmas time, they would return home and would sit as children at their feet and they would tell us of their stories. Some of them really inspired me, and so I wanted to relive that experience, not just for me or for my family, but for all Caribbean people who went through that period, who heard those stories and could not do what I am doing now, and those who really experienced firsthand what it was like post-World War II living in the United Kingdom.
Yes, I think Shantaes World is very topical, very timely, because from what I've seen of the trailer, it seems to capture some of the experiences of the Windrush generation, This is the generation of West Indians who went and lived in England, who emigrated to England after World War II between 1948 and 1971. The movie is very topical because recently, I'm sure you heard that the UK was trying to deport all those people who came to the UK as part of the Windrush generation. People that have been in England for 50 years. And England, there was a move to deport them. So given that Shantaes World kind of captures that era, I think it's very timely and very topical.
Yes, it is.
But I think our listeners would like you to share some of the most poignant experiences you had making Shantaes World, because as you said, it's an epic drama, and I'm sure there are many stories to tell in the making of Shantaes World. So I don't know if you care to share whatever you want to share with us.
It was a wonderful journey. And in fact, my best experience so far as a film producer. It was hard work, but also inspirational as we navigated through the 4 years, filming in the woods, in the forest, at the dock. We had like 400 extras. We had Slasper working with us. And one of the things I think that was erased, because I used to say, we don't cooperate with each other. We don't, do what we should do. We would be more successful if only we could put our heads together to do positive things. And when Bernard Fannis attended my audition, and he told me, Mathurine, I think I was about to leave after the audition, after we had selected the actors who were successful. We had a team of 9 judges that day. And I thought, I had accomplished the task, and I was about to leave when Bernard Fannis called me. He was the only media personnel, only member who came to the audition. He told me, Mathurine, if you need someone to film that movie, don't forget to call on me. And I can't remember my exact words. I said in Creole, I said, Bernard, mani pierson. And I laughed. And he told me, don't forget. I said, okay, I'll take you at your word. When I'm ready, I'll call you. And then I did, So we started in 2018. And here we are now. After filming both here in St. Lucia and in the UK. We filmed in several communities, in Choiseul, in Deriso, Vieux-Fort, the market scene in Vieux-Fort, and the school scene at Balambush, and even in Latil, the Christmas scene in Latil. And we filmed all over, but it was really, really, really an exciting experience to work with the crew, all B's crew, Bernard, that's Bradley, Lacan, Dean, and Gigi. I could never pronounce his name well, okay. So we just kept the Gigi, and Darrell and Valentine. We traveled to the UK as a team of 10. We worked, locally, on ground, and we never had a bad day. That was amazing. Never had a bad day.
Well, Miss Emmanuel, I may come back to ask you more about your experiences making that movie. Mm-hmm. But let me beef up Bernard Fannis. To me, he's always very supportive in terms of anyone doing something positive. Bernard Fannis and his establishment is always very supportive. Yeah. And the very first music video I did, Freedom, then there were Visual Domain, Lacan, Bernard Fannis, and Wayne, all of them were together. Okay. And I just come down to St. Lucia from the US. I was just re-establishing in St. Lucia. Okay. And they filmed Freedom, which, by the way, I still think is one of the best music videos. we have produced in St. Lucia, but then that's beefing up my chest. Could you tell us, compared to Shantaes World, the experiences you had with Shantaes World, making Shantaes World, how does it compare with your other movies, previous movies? Could you make a comparison?
Well, technically, my other films were produced making the use of just one camera and one cameraman. We just had only Michael back then. And technically, I didn't have what we had for Shantaes World. And it was just a matter of Michael coming on ground to film the scenes and then going back home to edit in his little corner. So we didn't have the equipment we needed. We didn't have the professionalism that we enjoy right now. And we had the actors. The young people were always eager. They were always there. I never had any problems with my actors, never. We always had fun doing whatever we were doing. We always became family friends, and it was beautiful, and it is still very beautiful. But then when it comes to the equipment, we didn't have that. And, well, I have gone through the same process financially. The government would chip in, and relatives, friends, you know, and other sponsors would come in. But this one was a major one, and it's a high-budget film, and we completed it. So that was the difference. The main difference was technical stuff.
So you reckon this one is a step up from your previous movies?
Yeah, technically speaking.
Also, based on the trailer, I noticed you have some powerhouse actors in the movie. You have the great Cox of Shekompesh. I saw Boots in there. Travis Wicks, who is very famous for Creole theater. So it seems like you have brought the best of St. Lucian actors, also it seems, on the set. And then, of course, there is you leading the way. As I said, you are a pioneer in the movie-making business.
Well, in this film, I was actually, people actually begged me to, just do something. My sisters kept telling me, but people will be looking for you. And I said, no, I don't want to perform. I don't want to act in that. I just want to direct it, because I know what I want. And I want to achieve my goal, and I want to ensure that it is what I want it to be, because I'm passionate about this film and whatever. So my role in Shantys World is minor. And those who are looking, well, they will not be disappointed, because I performed. I acted in London. I just did a minor scene. I became Shantae's aunt, in the UK. But we have the Governor General, the former Governor General, Dame Paulette Louise, as Shantae. She's indeed Shantae.
Wow.
When Shantae becomes, of age, 70 years, she's the one telling the whole Caribbean or the whole world her story. And, well, we have young Shantae, little Shantae, we call her, she started at the age of 8. She's 14 now. Then we have Antonia Charles from Makewood, who teaches at the Dirtso Combined School, who did a magnificent job as well. And the Governor General, little Shantae, wow. The teenage Shantae who falls in love, and all Shantae at the age of 70. They're all free. And the strange thing is they look alike. They have dimples. I don't know. I'm being asked, how did you... I didn't set out deliberately to check for dimples and stuff like that. But then, that's why I told you strange things happened along the way. And they all performed very, very well, sensational.
I hope we have, I hope we have time to get back to the strange things that happened.
And we have Cox. The mother is lovely Sentemi, who also did a great job. So, it's a film I think we will appreciate on the Caribbean at large, not just locally, but the diaspora, and internationally, we will be represented well.
Miss Emmanuel, I'm so happy you have extended an invitation for me to watch. I don't know what you call it. You don't call it a premiere screening.
It's a premiere.
So I'm really looking forward to the screening. I'm sure maybe Russell too.
He's invited.
So Miss Emmanuel, does it get easier? Does making movies get easier as you keep making them? Does it get easier?
I think, whatever you do with practice, with time, gets easier, as long as you're passionate about what you do. And but to me, it's just like having fun. I dance through it. I enjoy it, and it's like every time the day's done, it's like just ensuring that my baby is getting the right treatment and my baby is healthy, and this baby is going to grow into a very healthy adult. That's how I look at it. You get pregnant with the story and whatever it takes, and when you give birth to that child, you want to ensure that the baby is healthy and happy, and that's how I look at it, my journey. So it doesn't get easier because there are many difficulties you face. With this film, we had to go to the UK. We needed financial assistance. But as I said, miracles upon miracles, and we just kept dancing through it all.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, Miss Emmanuel, I think you are credited for making the first St. Lucian movie, meaning a movie set in St. Lucia by a St. Lucian, when you did Tears in the Valley, which is a feature film you never really put out, but this was, I think, your first film, which you followed with Ribbons of Blue. So basically, you are making history with your movies, and as I keep saying, you are single-handedly pioneering the movie industry in St. Lucia. But it seems like you are again making history because you have written a novel based on Shantaes World. The novel is also called Shantaes World. So I think you would be the first St. Lucian to both produce a movie and put out a novel. So you are definitely making history. So what made you decide to write the novel when you already when you had already done or started filming a movie covering the same topic?
Again, that came by accident. I never set out to write a novel, really. I was concentrating on the film 100%. And whilst we were filming, two producers came along with, I think it was Colin Weeks and Kendall John. They came to the house where we were filming in Domel, way in the woods in Deriso. And they were there watching whilst Lacan kept calling me to come and see, watch the screen to see Mathurine if that's what you want to see. And I was running towards him, and then I kept running towards the parents who had the kids with them, because they were actually distracting by ensuring that they dress up the kids in a way that they wanted to see them on screen with jewelry and gold chains and stuff. And that's a timepiece. Back in those days in the 60s, young boys I can remember in early 70s would run along in their parents' yards without underwear, and just their little shirts on, and the little girls now with just long T-shirts, torn and whatever, just having fun. That's how it was, I kept on telling them that, but they did not want that. They wanted to, show the kids and kiss them looking beautiful on screen and stuff like that. So I had a rough time running to and fro. So the guys were there, those white folks, producers, they were there, and they watched, and they said I'm crazy. I'm just running around. They couldn't understand what I was doing. Anyway, when there was, I think it was Caribbean Exports, I think they had this thing at Bosch Lejoux where all small business persons could come in and showcase their products and whatever it is that they were doing. And I was invited, so I went with the trailer, And when they passed by and they saw me in my booth, and they saw the trailer on screen just behind me, they could not believe that this was what we were working on that day, and it was so good. So they told me, Mrs. Emmanuel, if you can do something like that, why not write the book? I was amazed. I was surprised, taken aback. I said, I never, set out. They told me, yes, you should, because people like us, I think white folks they meant, or producers, I don't know. I cannot tell. I didn't read their minds. But they told me people like us would rather read the book than watch the film. So I said, okay, I'll take you at your word. I think I'll try. And so I set up myself to read the script again and try to transfer that into writing the story in another way. And it became a bit easy because I already had the whole concept, everything of each character, try to work through that character. And so I imagined myself being Shantae and navigating myself through the story. And that's how it came about, you know. So I didn't have the confidence, I must tell you, because I had never written a book before. But I remember Dr. Kenny Anthony telling me once when I attended Vifford Comprehensive that after writing an essay based on the slave trade, he told me, Mathurine, you should really go to university to do history and to write because you wrote that essay better than the book. And I was taken aback. I can remember where we stood that day when he said that to me. And then I said, oh, I told my father and I told my sisters and brothers what he said, but I never went into writing. But I remembered when the producer said that. I remember what happened when I was in school, Micoud Secondary as well. When I wrote my essays, my teacher, Benny, he would pass from one class to the next and allow the teachers at the school to read my essays. Wow. So I thought and I said, well, that's it. They were really enjoying my essays, my stories, so maybe I can write. But still, I did something else. When I wrote the first chapter, I sent it to some friends who work with Ministry of Education. They read it and they told me, Mathurine, we cannot put it down. We cannot put it, you better keep writing. And that's where I got my confidence from. I kept on writing.
Yeah, it sounds like all along you are multi-talented. It's just that you found out about the writing. You were convinced a bit late about the writing.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you, what would a novel accomplish that the movie couldn't? I guess one of the things, according to the people who advise you to write a novel, is that it would reach audiences that the movie may not reach. But what are the reasons what are the things you think a novel would accomplish that a movie couldn't? I know a novel tends to be more detailed and so forth, but
Yeah, it's more or less the detail. You really took it out of my mouth.
Oh, sorry. Bad host.
Yeah, no, that's okay. That's okay. But that's what I was thinking. That's all right. Yes, and as you said, you rightfully said, it's more detailed. You could go and you could write so much more about the characters and write about what was actually happening in the community and incorporate all of that. The myths and mores, it's the behaviors of the people back then, historically, how they thought about living the warm, the bright, warm sunshine, warm Caribbean countries, to travel, not knowing what you will find back there. Some people actually traveled from St. Lucia, from the Caribbean islands, to the UK, not knowing where they would sleep that night on arrival.
Yeah.
It was terrible. Emotionally, it was really something. And as I navigated through that process, getting to read and know the stories, sometimes, it was heart-wrenching to understand what they went through simply because they wanted to make a better life for themselves, their families, and their country. So I think to contribute towards the development of St. Lucia, the other islands in the Caribbean, it took a lot from them.
Yeah.
And I feel proud of myself, not for anything else, but simply being able to tell the world about that kind of pain and, the joy and pride that we as a people should feel because they did all that to make our life better where we are now.
Yeah, from what you have explained,
Yeah.
Some people may think they simply need to watch the movie. They don't need to buy the books. But from what you have explained, to get the full picture, the full story,
both.
you need to watch the movie and buy the book. And I suspect the book will be out before the movie because I think the book will be ready next month.
Actually, we will premiere the film on 17th April, which is Easter Sunday at 2 p.m. at Caribbean Cinema. But it's only by invitation. If you're not invited, you cannot come. And The book is still on its way. We have not received the shipment, so we are still waiting. I'm just happy to know that everything is organized right now. We have received the final proof. It's okay, and
Yeah.
it's a hard copy. And I must thank Jonathan Gladding
It's a collector's
for
item.
working with us.
Collector's item.
Yes.
But
yeah.
as soon as you receive it, it will be on the market.
Yes, some people have actually
Whereas
ordered the book.
Whereas the movie, even if
Yeah.
you screening it, it's
Yeah.
not yet ready for the market.
No, it's not
Yes.
ready for.
So, which can work well, because normally in the movie industry, the book comes out years before the movie. People read the book and then they look forward to the movie.
Yeah, the movie.
So it's kind of good that the book will be out on the market, so people will get a chance to read the book. Then when the movie comes out, they can get the movie.
Yeah. So I can say I live through an abnormal journey. Everything I do is not the normal way of doing things. So, but then you still achieve your goal.
So now that you have gotten a taste of writing a novel, what's the future like? Are you going to abandon movies and start being a novelist, or you are planning to do both?
Right now I don't. I am focusing on one dream that I have. Before our former Prime Minister John Compton died, he saw one of my plays in Deriso on stage. It was during Nurses Week. At the time, it was entitled "The White Angel," cocaine, the use of cocaine, and what impact it has on our young men. And I will never forget seeing John Compton crying like a baby that day. I will never forget it, never. He actually leaned on the chair and his body kept moving downwards, ready to fall, because the man was crying like a baby. And afterwards, I had just begun my career as a teacher at the Blusher Combined School. He sent Lucia Peters to speak with me, and he wanted to facilitate a meeting, and he told me, you know what, I want you to produce that film. In fact, I want you to go to the UK and do mass communication, and when you return, I would like you to work on those plays and try to inspire our young men and women. But I want that play, Secrets of the Ghetto, I have entitled it now, The White Angel, to inspire our young men to be disciplined, to work, and to, help develop our country so that we can be crime-free, or even if we have crime, not like we are having right now. And I promised him, he told me, I will get the finance for you from a friend I have overseas. But he died a few months after I spoke with him. I promised him that I would. And now, every time I hear about someone getting killed or shot, and our young men, I remember Sir John Compton. I'm not saying it would be our savior, but at the same time, I think that Secrets of the Ghetto is a movie that will help young men think better than they do now and appreciate life than they do now.
So you are saying Secret of the Ghetto, partly inspired by John Compton?
Yeah.
Might be your next film project?
If I have the time, space, energy, and life.
Okay. So if God willing, this is likely to be your next project.
Yeah.
Well, I'm always looking forward to your movies. Now, Miss Mathurine, Miss Emmanuel, the film industry, the movie industry is big business. In 2018, the U.S. motion picture and video production and distribution industry generated $70 billion US dollars. But now, with your novel, Shantaes World, as I said, you have made, well, I'm asking the wrong question, is that right? Okay. So it's big business, and then we have the SLP administration that has recently come into power that is pushing the notion of the youth economy as a means of stimulating the economy and addressing some of the social ills and unemployment problem of the youth. Do you think that the movie industry can play a significant role in advancing the youth economy, in addressing what is the upside potential of the film industry, movie industry, in terms of youth employment, income generation, and so forth?
Well, in St. Lucia, the film industry, I wonder if I should say there is none really. Everybody just doing their own thing, you know. I don't know. I don't think there is a serious, I will use the word candidly, there is a serious appreciation for film production in St. Lucia. I think we undermine our potential, and that's one of the things that gave me the drive to ensure that Shantys World is the best that we could produce, and or we can produce. And because I look at it as competition out there. You cannot just produce any film, mediocre. I mean, you have to understand that there is competition out there, even within the Caribbean. As I travel, when Ribbons of Blue was produced, and I received my first award in New York for Best Director. It was not because of the quality or professionalism exhibited via that piece, but simply the storyline. I was told that they just could not understand that I was able to produce such an inspirational story with that kind of raw, the rawness of it, let's put it that way. And that was just so powerful that even the women, the Chinese women who were there trying to, grade all the films and whatever, were in tears when the film was done.
Wow.
I couldn't understand it. It was just that powerful. And the director of the festival came to me and told me, I just wish, that this film could be a universal story out there so that every young person could see it. And so, Mrs. Emmanuel, what we will try to do is to facilitate a meeting with another producer who can blow this thing out into, a big way and try to see what they can do. But then when I met with him, George by name from Germany, he told me, if you have the gift to do something like that, I would like you to produce a horror movie. I said, that was funny. I said, I am, sorry. I am not inspired to produce horror movies. No, it's not about the money. I need money, of course I do. I wish I had a lot of it so I could go about to produce my films, the ones I want to produce, but then I could not promise him that I would do that. And the film was sent to the Cannes Festival, and again, I was told that when the movie was placed on screen, they could not see my face, period. So technically, it was a no-no.
Oh, wow.
That was bad. So
Yeah,
I
yes.
could not move forward with it, and that's why I'm very happy that Shantaes World is much better, because there's competition out there. We may
Yes.
be good at our art, our skills, our gifts, but if we are not, on top of our game and technically we are equipped, we won't go anywhere.
Yes, we may have time for a couple questions. So then, from what you said, we don't have much of a film industry in St. Lucia, yet the movie business is big business potential, so it can be, it may have great potential for St. Lucia and the Caribbean. So then, if so, what can the government do? What can the government put in place to advance the film industry in St. Lucia?
I think there should be funding available to educate our youth, because if we do not develop our young film fans today, we will produce, if we develop our young film fans today, we will have filmmakers, young film producers of tomorrow. There will be continuity. okay, those who have come before, this is what they did, this is how they do it. Based on the experience, you create a platform so we can continue, and they may be, you can actually use your phone now to produce a short film, So they can be equipped with, what it takes to produce films. If a film industry is established in our country, our youth can be educated whilst they're still in school.
Yes.
You understand? So they can, not everyone is gifted to be mathematicians, scientists, and whatever. There are many young people who are creative,
Yes.
even more than I am, waiting for an opportunity to exercise or to use that gift that they are given. Some people are talented, some are gifted, some are educated, you understand? So they may have it, but we have to tap on that energy. We have to tap on that creative energy, identify them, educate them, grant them opportunity via financing and scholarships, grants, whatever, so that we can see and understand that they're on their way to doing great things there in the Caribbean and St. Lucia too. Okay. So the vast number of roles within the film industry can only inspire them to pursue a career in those fields. You have music, sound, we have the production process, working with we have editors, we have, all those other, sub-roles that they can play.
That's so true.
Yeah.
So one cannot just think of, in terms of the film industry, one cannot just think just in terms of the motion picture. Along with that is a whole set of other specialities, as you said, music. So when you develop the film industry, you are developing your music industry, your drama, your lighting, actors and actresses, and so forth. And I think this is a very important point.
Yeah.
Now, maybe now that you mentioned continuity, I think let me quickly ask you about continuity. Do you see Iron Other Pictures continuing after you can no longer drive it? What are your thoughts? Are you putting anything in place so that it continues even if you yourself cannot drive it?
For now, I consider myself to be halfway along the road. I don't know what will happen tomorrow, but as long as I have the breath, I have the skills, the gift, whenever I can, I will. I can promise no one what tomorrow will bring, but as time goes by, I'll know how far I can go, And if not, I have my son who is... He's just as gifted as I am. I keep telling him that day after day. He started acting from the age of 6. And
okay.
Yeah, so you have seen our videos on our website, www.ionolopictures.com. You can, actually access some of our videos and play some time with Kelly, Dwight Emmanuel, and Mathurine Emmanuel.
So the legacy can continue through your son, and as you said, you are. It's something in progress.
Yeah.
I think we have just run out of time. Miss Manuel, it was great having you. It was fun and very enriching. I learned a bit more about your operation and the film industry. I'm sure our listeners did too. Thanks very much for coming on the show, coming on Roof Tropics Media. And good morning, all listeners. Thank you for listening. Please stay tuned for our other show, Power to the People, by Ras Iron, and have a great day.
Thank you for having me.